Hello everyone. If you want to go to my free course, type henry-ward.co.uk into Google, then go to Henry Ward Trading, and then this here is my free course. Click on Start Today. If you want to go on to the webinars that I do every Sunday and every Wednesday, click on Trading Academy and then click on Start Today. So this is the Trading Academy. This is the full training, the webinars, direct access to me, everything that you want.
Okay, so let's have a quick look at the Nasdaq. Now, the Nasdaq has been unbelievably, unbelievably frustrating for us here. Literally stopped us out by 2 or 3 pips and then comes down and it's 1% up at the minute, about there or thereabouts, or 0.8 or 0.9% up, which is massively frustrating. Do I still think that will come down? Absolutely. I don't see anything there to suggest that this market will continue going up. I fully expect it to continue coming down. But again, it's massively frustrating that we've been stopped out by a couple of pips. On Friday or Monday, we got stopped out. Unfortunately, we can do very little about that. I know Shane stayed in it. He didn't quite get stopped out, so well done. Which is absolutely infuriating. Now, looking at the 4 hour, there's not a whole lot we can do. Okay, there's not a whole lot we can do. I'm looking at this on the shorter time frame. What we have to do then is have a look at these levels and see if there's any key levels that we sort of like if it comes down. Now, if you are confident that this will continue coming down, this is what we need to happen before we are looking to trade again on the smaller time frame. We need to break and then retest that 1, 2 triple bottom there. Okay, so it needs to break and retest that before we can actually take that short. And then the idea would be is you're looking for your take profit a little bit inside there, a little bit similar to this one. Look, our take profit was inside, so it wasn't something that we were looking to break this. And if it breaks that, then it's in bonus territory. But at the moment, it looks like this will continue coming down. It looks straight on one chart, and then it go to a higher time frame. It's not, and that's what we were looking for on this particular one here. The S&P. Anyone that took the S&P here didn't actually give you a higher high. Now, the reason we didn't take the S&P here is because it actually had broken this ceiling. So that's why we didn't take the S&P. So the trade wasn't as good. But again, this on Friday, it didn't pop up higher. It didn't take out that high, whereas it did on the likes of the Nasdaq here. Look, it made a higher high, whereas the S&P didn't. The problem was the S&P wasn't as good a setup. But if you'd have taken that one, you'd still be in the trade. And when you took the Nasdaq, we were stopped out. And look, identical with the Dow. The Dow hasn't been stopped out. And anyone that took the Dow would have been, what, 1.5 to 1 up now. But the problem again is it's broken that ceiling. So it didn't actually give us a trade. So the two of those didn't give us a trade where the Nasdaq did. And the Nasdaq stopped us out where the other two have dropped a little more. And unfortunately, that's what we have to contend with trading. Even sometimes when we're right, we're still wrong, if that makes sense. Which is massively frustrating. German DAX. So we sort of looked at this as the German DAX as an upward trend. It come back into this sort of area. We entered here and we put a stop loss here. Take profit at this particular point. Now, was that a high probability trade? Nope. Was it the best trade in the world? Nope. Again, but Does it look like it's a decent trade? Yes. The problem is that we have no real momentum to the upside. We've no real momentum to the downside. We have this sort of sideways momentum going through here. So it wouldn't be something that I would be overly wanting to take. So at the minute, this will probably fluctuate between sort of these two areas here. I don't see that massively taken off in the next, say, month. There's just too much going on politically for this sort of to take off at the present moment. Now, can anyone tell me why this has sort of dropped today? Anyone hazard a guess? Do we think that Boris being voted in would have a little effect on that? And the fact of the matter is, yes, it will. It'll have a little effect on that, and we've seen a little sell-off because of it. The same as key things like this in some of those other markets affect us, affect the UK. So yes, that was probably why we have a little bit of a sell-off. Now, not all, but it'll obviously still in people's minds. We have the French CAC, and the French CAC for me is nowhere. It just doesn't look as nice as the German DAX. For me, there's a little more structure to the German DAX, whereas the French CAC doesn't have that sort of structure. UK 100. So we had a little bit of a buying day yesterday, and today has just been literally an inside bar. The market doesn't know whether this is good, whether this is bad at the present moment. Okay, so we have that indecision at the minute. So again, UK market stay away. It still applies. We need to break and retest for us to be taking that as a trade there. We see a break and then the retest. So China is having a little bit of a rally here. A little bit of a rally. We do have this red level through sort of here, and back in this sort of area again. It's more of a zone than a level there, so I would probably have that a little bit higher. So if it comes back into the zone, we could actually see a pretty big sell-off. But if it breaks and retests, this could be the beginning of an upward momentum here. So let's keep an eye on this. This is the only market that hasn't really sort of shown any signs of turning yet. This is the first signs of it. So let's see if we get that. Now, oil, we were looking for oil to, once it broke this level, I was sort of looking for oil to kick on to either one of these two levels here. Now, I just have this level here at the open and the close rather than the high. So I sort of have two areas. And of the last 2 days, we have sort of a higher bar, and then we have an inside bar today. So it's sort of waiting on see what's going on in the market. Drop down to the 4 hour here. And we do have sort of a break and retest going on there of sorts. But again, would that be the best trade in the world? Now, again, I'm using this bar, and this bar is not finished. Okay, it's not finished, so we shouldn't be using that bar. But I'm just putting that in place there to see, well, if that bar was finished there, is that a trade we could take? Or is that just way too aggressive? So in your opinion, guys, should it just say that bar finished there, that the small bar is finished, 4 hour, should we take that trade there as a buy? Or is that just way too aggressive? What's the thoughts on this? So aggressive or something that we should be looking at? Come on, guys. Maybe. Firmly on the fence. Firmly on the fence. Well, look here, again, it is. If I was doing well, then yes. But again, there is a trade there. And again, it comes down to, is this a high probability trade? And no, this is not a high probability trade. But is it a trade? Absolutely, yes, it is. Yes, it's a trade. And yes, it is something that is potentially there. Should we be using it? That comes down to how aggressive you are, how your trading is going. So again, it's not something that I would take, but we do have a clear phase 2 here. We've had a clear phase 1, clear phase 2. We do have a double top, which is now coming with support. You could say that that's a double bottom there, and we'll expect that to top up. We're talking about it going to £2 at the pump shortly. Look, it absolutely could. There's nothing stopping us from that, is there? Daily. So we talked about this trade here, and I sort of left that there, that trade, as a one-to-one trade here. Now, I'm assuming nobody took that on the daily chart. Assuming no one took that, so natural gas long. And I wouldn't have expected anyone to take it. Why? Because we had a huge entry, which means we have a huge sort of take profit. So anyone that took that there, you've just about hit a one-to-one trade. You've just about hit a one-to-one. And it looks like it's going to continue going. It's now broken that high, so it's now made a higher high. Now, how much higher it's going to go, who knows? Who knows? I'll do is I'll divide them up. Okay, by just doing that, and that is there's no science to that whatsoever. Absolutely zero science in that. We'd expect it to go a little bit higher. But again, we've now hit a one-to-one on this. Again, with a huge stop loss. But if we drop down to the smaller time frame and took that, yes, you actually have a really, really nice winner on that. Again, we're being very aggressive. But if we look at it, 1, 2, 3 touches. Cyclicity there. We have support and resistance. Exactly what we have on the 4-hour on this here. We have support and resistance. That's just a question of, do we expect it to jump, or are we better off just sitting and waiting and leaving it alone? Basically, they're the questions we have to ask ourselves. So anyone took that, well done, but I wouldn't have expected anyone to take it. Why? Because it was a huge stop loss, and then you were in it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and that's a one-to-one trade. Not a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1, it's a one-to-one. So risking 100 quid to make 100 quid. And again, we can see wheat has come back here to a double bottom. There's no coincidence that we've had a big buying day yesterday. Now, the only question I have is whether it's going to hold or whether that's going to come down to there. I would expect it to come back to there and then have a jump. That would be where I would expect it to come back to. I expect that to come back down to there. If it's there, then that's what we're looking. That's where we're potentially jumping in on this. So has anyone got any questions on sort of the Nasdaqs, the likes of the precious metals there that we're going through? So if you have any questions, just write them down and pop them in the chat, and I'll answer them. Because obviously, I'm assuming you guys have questions. Just pop them in there, and I'll go through them. I'll read them out, and I'll go through them. Now we have the likes of the silver here, and silver at the moment is moving sideways. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 bars of this sideways movement. It hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't gone up. It hasn't gone down. It's literally, well, you could actually say from here, from 20th of May to now, it's pretty sideways, which it has. So looking at this, looks like there's a little more upside. It looks like there's a little more upside. But time will tell. Whereas gold is telling a little bit of a different story. Yes, it's moving sideways, but gold looks like there's still a little more downside on this. So if we look at the difference in the two of them, can you guys see the difference in this? It's like we have 1, 2, 3 bars that are after getting lower, one after the other. So these 3 bars have got lower. Whereas if we look at the likes of silver, it's 1, 2, 3 bars have gone sideways. 4 bars have gone sideways. They haven't moved. The lows haven't been taken out. So which tells us there's a little more momentum to the upside. But if we look at gold, 1, 2, 3, the last 3 bars have been taken out from that low. I'm not looking at these lower lows here, because they're not, they're higher lows. I'm looking at the last 3 bars, they've got lower there. So it looks like there's still a little more momentum to the downside. But again, we are looking at the last 3 bars. We're not looking at momentum, we're not looking at the overall trend, we're not looking at the US dollar. I'm literally looking at the last 3 to 4 bars. So would I be confident of gold going down? Nope. Would I be confident of gold going up? No. If I was in this trade, I would probably be taking a small win. If I was still in this trade here, or putting my stop loss at break even, which means I physically cannot lose, or putting 3 or 4 quid inside to cover all my things. Potentially this one here. Do I have any news? Do I have any suggestions on new Luna? No, I know very, very little about it. I know nothing about it. If I'm being honest, Brian. No. My thing would be is buy it, and hopefully it will take off like the last one did. But make sure you get out before it crashes again. So that's the thing. That's and what I say put your house on. No, I put 1% of your account in this and then leave it alone. And if it takes off, brilliant. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That would be sort of the only advice I would say to anyone about it. Talking about crypto, let's have a quick look. And as we can see, Bitcoin has gone nowhere over the last month. Literally moved sideways. So looking at the structure of this, I want everyone that's online. So everyone that's online, I'm assuming most of you guys have some sort of crypto, which then Bitcoin affects you guys all. So what do you think, honestly, is the next thing to happen here? What do you guys? Do you guys think that it's going to pop up to 40,000? Do you think it's going to go down to 20,000? What is your expectation for this market over the next, say, 2 or 3 months? Now it might pop down and then go back up. It might go up and then pop back down. But what do you think? What do you think will happen in this near future? Which do you think will hit first? 40,000 or the 20,000? James, I'm the same. I bought a little bit of this area as well. You can see my levels. And I'll be happy to buy some more at, say, 21,000 when we get there. I'm assuming you guys now know my preference and what I would expect to happen. Oh, the market is moving sideways. There's no bulls in the market at the minute, is there? It's just a bear market. So the question is that if you expected to hit the 20,000, have you a little level in there? Have you a little area? Have you a price put in there already and to add a particular point for it? That you're happy to buy if you think it's going to hit down. So my prediction is it will continue dropping and get to about this area there. Now I have an order there sitting there. This is all not relevant anymore. I'll actually pull that through. So for me, it's the 20,000 level is the next sort of key level. And we expect to hit it probably before December. Next 6 months. Now, do I have anything to suggest that? Well, other than the trend, no. Other than the trend, no. The trend is overall down. We now have a bear market. We need bullish momentum. We need the bears to come back in. And when they come back in, that's where we start to get happy again. So at this particular moment, we'll let the market continue dropping, and then we can scale in at positions that we are feeling happy. Now, once I hit this 20,000 mark, my next entry will be slightly just above that, 13,000. And then if it comes back down to there, at about 8, and then there's a big hard level at 3,000. It's for 3,000. If memory serves me right, there's a big hard level at 3,000. We'll go up to 50,000 again at the next halving event in March 2024. While you say that, we didn't do anything after the last halving. It took six months before the market took off after the last hardware. Yes, I understand that. I understand that that's a big event and it's mass, what you call it, overhyped and stuff. But yeah, it brings publicity to it. Yes, I'm not gonna dispute that. And just say it does do that, Mark. So just say the halving happens, and all of a sudden the market starts going up. It hits 50,000. It's after going down to 21, and now the halving starts, and it goes back up, and it pops and it hits the 50,000 mark. What's your next step at the 50,000? Or anyone for that matter. It doesn't have to be market from anyone. What would be the next step if it hits the 50,000? No, I'm asking you, what do you do? Are you still holding on to it? And you cashing out? And you hoping that it continues to run and then it hits 50, then it hits 75, then it hits 100,000? Is that what you're hoping? So the idea is that we have a plan in place that if that does happen, remember that's an 18-month plan. Whereas we have to work out, are we looking to get in and get out before that? Or is it simply that? That is an 18-month plan there in place. And then do you buy it up at key levels on the way? Solana. Okay, one of the most overhyped coins of 2020, 2021. Well, went from 1.2 to 256. Phenomenal growth 2021. Giving it all back in 2022. So the likes of this here, has this taught us anything at all? So as traders, has this taught you guys anything? Anyone who's in the likes of Solana? I'm not talking about the top 5 sort of cryptos. What would be the top 5 cryptos be? Bitcoin would be number 1. Adam said there's something wrong with sound. Is that just Adam or is that everyone? It sounds like a vacuum. The sound. You know? That's strange. Sorry, guys. So I asked the question. I don't know what you guys heard it or not. I asked the question. So have we learned anything from the likes of this? And I don't mean technically Solana. I mean Solana, likes of the other cryptos, the likes of Bitcoin, the likes of any of those, Dogecoin, the likes of any of those that have had this massive pump and this big massive drop. Now, say take the 5 top coins, take them out of the equation, the likes of the Bitcoins, the likes of say see when XRP is still one of the bigger ones, the likes of the ADA. What have we actually learned? Well, hopefully what we've learned is that these types of coins just jump out of nowhere, is that we take some money, jump in, and we go with the trend, go with the flow. But the idea is that you have a hard exit strategy on this. You have a hard exit strategy. So just put the equivalence. Okay, just change it over to the equivalent. So we have normal stocks. Okay, so we have normal stocks. We have the likes of Apple, we have the likes of all those types of stocks. Okay, so they've all dropped, absolutely. They've all dropped, and they've all dropped quite substantially. They've all dropped about 30%, which is across the market, they've all dropped between 30 to 40%. Okay. Now, what this reminds us of is a penny stock, where a penny stock will take off and it will drop 60, 70, 80, 100%. Can anyone give me an example of a penny stock? That's about Peloton now. I have another tick for Peloton. Let's see. Assume it's the Nasdaq one you're looking at. And this is not the example I'm looking for, but again, yes, here it went from 0.61 the whole way up to $50, $51, and now back at 1.97. But this one is probably not as common or known as this one, Peloton. This is the equivalence here of a penny stock. This is the equivalent of a penny stock here. Started off at $23, went the whole way up to 170, and it's now back at 12.48. There's no real difference in that and the likes of those cryptos, are there? Look at the absolutely very, very similar, isn't it? So the moral of this story is, and what I'm saying to people is that when you're buying the likes of these things, you buy them with the stance that you're going to make money when it's going up with the likes of these times, but not necessarily holding on to them long term. And then when they drop, then we buy some up again, because who knows, the next bubble again, they might take off again. But rather than buying them low, letting them go up and then holding on to them to come straight back down to where your entry price is, that's not how you trade the likes of these sort of cryptocurrency and even penny stocks. That's not how we trade them. We get in, we take our money, then we get out. And then we hold on to the reliables, we hold on to the ones that are are consistently generating earnings. Those are the stocks that we hold on to. But just to give you a little comparison, so ADA, well, again, I'd expect that to come down into that area. I don't see that stopping before $20. With Solana, ADA has come down and hit that sort of level, but again, it's not a huge strong level to hold at. I would even expect that to come up, hit its head, and then drop again. I don't actually see any reason that that's going to hold, hit its head, and then drop again. And we could actually see that come back down to 0.14 again. We could see it dropping all the way back down there. So it's very similar with ADA. XRP. On 1.2 for me is a level. That was a potential investment on this again at that particular point. But we just have to sit through this. Anyone who has it, come back to this area and then look for it to bounce. I'm actually quite surprised that I stopped dropping. I could have expected that to continue dropping, but it hasn't. Okay, Tron seems to be doing quite well. Is there any what we're trying to think of? What's the different call that we give? Is there any? What's it? Spark tokens? Is that what you call it? Is that why this is? Is this why this is a sort of an upward trend at the minute, whereas everything else is dropping? Have they brought out? Have they released a new update? What's the little bit of upturn and fortune on Tron here at the minute? Measure from the low here. It's up 60%. Even though it hasn't had a massive jump, it's up 60% from there, from the beginning of the year, which is pretty decent. Ethereum. Ethereum is sitting nicely on that floor there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, we would expect that to break through that floor. We'd expect it to break through. But then again, where is the next floor then? If it breaks through, you'd expect it then to come back down to here. But if it breaks there, I'd expect it quite quickly to come down to this level. We have a really strong level at that. But all the rest of the crypto have broken those levels. So does anyone have anything they want me to have a quick look at before we finish up in the next 3 or 4 minutes? Oh wow, good question, Mark. Good question. So what is likely to happen to Twitter and Tesla if Musk pulls out of Twitter deal? Okay, so if Musk pulls out of the Twitter deal, I would expect Twitter to have a little bit of a rally, the upside, but then overall a drop because of it. Now, as another thing, it may open the door for other takeovers of Twitter, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Microsoft, whether it's any of those, and they do like to come in and buy up these social media platforms. But they might be able to buy it at a cheaper rate than what Musk was looking to do. So that would be my first initial thought on this. But if we go back to Tesla, for me, this would be a good thing for Tesla. Because let's be honest, Tesla is financing the whole deal. Whole deal rests on the strength of Tesla shares. And hence why, in my opinion, we've seen a little bit of a sell-off here on the Tesla stocks. Because Tesla is effectively financing that deal. And look, that horizontal we had drawn in there, there's no coincidence, it's now popped its head and had a little sell-off on it. Finally short in the market there, well done. I expect it to come back to here, probably. But again, it depends on the market. If the market has a massive pop to the upside, this will pop. But again, it looks like it's going to come down to this sort of level again, 550. And if it comes back down to 550, would that be a place where people would be looking to buy these up again? Would we be looking to buy Tesla again at, say, the 565 level? Well, I'm the same. I will put an order in there. Mark said, yeah, but they have some other issues with resupply, with laying off staff. Okay. So staff are easy enough to come by. That's within reason, they're easy enough to come by. People are easy enough replaced. Understanding that you're talking about very, very smart people, educated people. I understand that you're looking for very skilled staff. But again, you know, anyone who works in any business, you know that staff are replaceable. I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble that think they're not. Everyone is replaceable. Is the person you're going to get in good? No. But with a clear plan in place, they can get similar results. Resupply issue, well, chips, they're an issue across the globe. It's not just a Tesla issue. In the next 10 to 15 years, copper could be more valuable than the likes of gold and silver. So why could copper be more valuable than gold and silver? Can anyone answer that question for me? follows the linear chart talking that we're doing here. So copper is other than gold or silver, it's the most conductible metal of electricity. Okay, so it means then that it's in high demand. And because of the expensiveness and the short supply of silver, silver is never going to replace copper. But the problem is that copper is generally quite hard to mine. If you open a new mine in the morning, it generally takes on average about 6 years before you can start pumping copper out of that mine. And you have the governments who have said that in Great Britain, that by 2030, that all combustion engines are going to cease to exist and from being made. So all new engines have to be copper, which means then that the demand on copper is only going to continue to grow and grow and grow. So do I think copper is going to invest in over the next 5 or 6 years? Absolutely. Buy an ETF with copper in it. Buy copper as an ETF and just hold on to it for the next 5 or 6 years. It'll be an absolute great investment until they have got a substitute for copper or got better technology, so on and so forth. So everyone that's doing electric cars is coming across the same supply problems in the sense that copper is hard to get, chips are extremely hard to get, but also the talk about the German factory, it's using too much water. They haven't started anything there yet. But again, those things will be a problem to a certain degree, and then what they'll do is just pull the plug out and move somewhere else. I don't know the specifics on that yet, Mark. Lithium versus metals. So I don't know the ins and outs of that, so I can't make a judgment on that. Okay, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. I will be sending an email out a little bit later on with the link for this. This is now linked for the next 50 webinars. So you guys, anyone who's registered here should get a little update. A couple of guys have said to me, Henry, you don't get updates anymore from Zoom. You should be able to get the updates now, an hour in advance and a day in advance if the webinar is happening. But yeah, just do save that link, and it will always be in the Discord channel. So if you're not in the Discord channel, make sure you're in the Discord channel, and the link will always be put there at about 12 o'clock every Tuesday for the 11 o'clock one. And remember, if you miss it, you can either watch it on Zoom or you can go to the YouTube channel and watch it there. All right, everyone, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much. Hope you have a lovely evening, and I will speak to you all tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.